I was super driven to become a founder. This was my life's mission. On the way, I made every mistake in the book. We created amazing projects. One, for example, is Google Campus for Moms, where moms on maternity leave actually come to start their startups. Like an urban legend that women don't promote each other and isha le isha zeva, like a woman to woman is a wolf. Entrepreneurs with a lot of ego don't make it through. They also don't raise enough money. It's a problem. But the real truth is that women are terrible at networking because they get really close to the other person. They can talk about kids, they'll talk about school, their next holiday, but they'll never be transactional. Whereas men will go into a room, they'll go into one of these beautiful rooms here in Microsoft, there'll be an event, they'll hand out their business card. It's like, okay, how much are you raising? Okay, I know this person. Do you know this person? Can you make an intro to this person?
Welcome to another episode of Israel Tech. We're here in Midtown Tel Aviv from the Microsoft Reactor on the 50th floor with a great view. But we also have here with us Hilla Ovil-Brenner. Hilla, how you doing?
Hey, amazing to be here. Great view, but also exciting to be here.
Awesome. So you're doing a lot of things right now. Right? You're a partner at Arieli Capital, and probably how I got to know you is what you're doing helping with women entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And then you've also, from before that, you're an entrepreneur in your own right, did amazing things and working with Techstars. So you're one person that really has her hands and pulse on the ecosystem, has been here for a while, and you still live in Tel Aviv. Many of them move out of Tel Aviv. And so a lot of respect to you. So I feel like you have a unique perspective, vision, and a feel of a pulse for our ecosystem more than most people have. So maybe you can tell us a little about what exactly are you working on now? Let's talk about a little bit what you've done, what you've learned, and what you've participated towards.
First of all, I'm just so excited to be here. And I think it's really important because I love this ecosystem. And if anyone's watching around entrepreneurs, founders, investors, I mean, especially today, in today's age, it's really important to be here and kind of support this amazing ecosystem we have. And yes, I've been involved here for a really long time. I was first a founder, then became an investor, a mentor, a great nonprofit organizer of Yezamiyot. So I have a lot of perspectives, and this is why I have such great love for this ecosystem.
Awesome. So how did you get into the ecosystem? Where'd you start?
Yeah, well, so I grew up in South Africa, and when I came here, I fell in love with everything about Israel altogether. I'm a lawyer by profession. Unfortunately, I delete this from my CV because it had nothing to do with becoming a founder.
Also, then I probably wouldn't have had you on.
Yeah, but I had a really big dream to become a founder. So my first company,
Wait,
because I looked around this ecosystem, there was so much adrenaline. And actually, I was married to Liran, who worked with ICQ. And at the time, I was dating him, and it was like the first real exit of Israel. And also the globes and the market and everything was full of energetic founders doing great things. And I felt I wanted to be one of them. So unfortunately, I didn't really have a good idea, but somehow ended up becoming the CEO and founder of White Smoke, which was really the first AI tool for grammar back in the day before AI. Made every mistake in the book in that company.
Wait, as a founder, hold on. Why'd you get into grammar? I need to know, is it because you're a grammar Nazi, or you're so bad at grammar that you found it?
Okay, it can work both ways.
I think
I'm a grammar Nazi, yes, but I'm also bad at grammar. So I'm both ends of the game, if that makes sense to you in any way. So on the one hand, I care about it. I'm kind of the most passionate person that I think is alive about grammar. And so when I was raising money for this, people said, you look like a really nice person, but this is like a feature. What are you doing? Go do something else with your life. But I was
telling you that? What kind
investors, mentors, people that knew
when
me,
was this?
Friends of mine. I founded the company in 2002.
It's a long time ago.
It's a really long time ago, but it was back in the day before ChatGPT. So people said, oh, really? Computer's going to understand text, natural language processing? Who's going to ever work on that? So I ended up raising quite a lot of money from...
How much? Can I ask?
It's a public company, so I don't really talk about the exact amount. But I landed up raising from exceptional people in Israel and abroad. And change business models a zillion times.
Wait, slow down.
B2B,
Let's go
B2C.
into this. First off,
2002,
Israel didn't really have much of a tech scene. Really,
Yes.
right? It's
Yes.
amazing what's
Yes.
happened in a generation.
I know.
What was it like then? How would compare to now? Just in general, trying to
Well,
founder.
first of
You had
all-
no entrepreneurial experience before that, did you?
I had no entrepreneurial
None.
experience. I had no team. I
Nothing
had no
networking.
money. I had no connections in Israel because
Other
I
than
didn't
an
grow up
idea,
here.
were you a technical person?
No.
So what gives?
So
you had no experience. It wasn't even an ecosystem.
There wasn't an ecosystem. There were no accelerators and meetups and all the great things that were happening at the moment. But I was super driven to become a founder. This was my life's mission. So I got up every morning thinking how to make grammar worldwide and how to improve people's grammars around the world. And so that's how I started, and I was super lucky because I met incredible people on the way, passionate people who wanted to make grammar their life as well, and I ended up creating, I think, the best grammar tool that existed. Today we have a lot of competition, it's 20 years down the line, but I was very lucky. On the way, I made every mistake in the book, so I fell in love with founders and the drive that founders have. And so I meet founders around the world saying, we want to change the world of, I don't know, cooking, whatever. I understand where this passion comes from, right? You really feel every morning that you're here for a specific mission. And I think that's what's most unique about the Israeli ecosystem too, because there's so many of us that feel this way.
Would you say your mistakes are any different than other entrepreneurs are making? I'm wondering, because it didn't have the ecosystem, like you said then, were there more mistakes that were being made? Were there maybe shortcuts that weren't available, 22 plus years ago that aren't available today?
Wow, that's a great question. Fortunately, I see that people are making the same mistakes.
So it's a human nature issue,
which
right?
is really great because it means you can really learn, right?
Beautiful.
And there are amazing people that can still teach you. So if you find great mentors and models, you can really learn from that. So that's the amazing thing. Yes, there are more shortcuts today, but the life of an entrepreneur is still pretty hard even today.
Yeah.
So I made a lot of mistakes, which made me even more passionate about this ecosystem and about founders.
How? Well, how did the mistakes help make you more passionate?
Well, because I knew how difficult it was to get up in the morning and find the right investor and find the right business model and try to convince everybody around you, whether it's your team or your sales team or the mentors around you, that you're actually going to make a dent in the ecosystem, you're going to make a difference, and what's going to be different between you and other people. And it just made me understand that the founder's life, when it does succeed and something really amazing happens, it's the best feeling in the world. So I want to help more entrepreneurs feel this way.
So, okay, so that's such an easy segue. This thing I wanted to talk about was, or maybe we should talk more about that, but so you went into Techstars and Yazamiot, which is exactly aligns with what you're doing, or what your goal is. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to Arieli Capital, which is also obviously all aligned. What I'm starting to see is this beautiful life mission of yours, of
it's
helping the ecosystem, people that want to create, people that want to do, people that want to grind and make, and it's awesome that you're doing that. So you're involved with Techstars. So a lot of people probably know what Techstars is, but those that don't, what is Techstars?
So I was the manager of Techstars for nearly 6 years. It's the biggest accelerator network in the world, and we started the chapter here in Israel.
Who's we?
I and my team.
Okay. When was this?
This was, I left Techstars about a year ago, so.
7 years ago.
Yeah, 7 years
Okay,
ago,
like 2017?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we were very lucky because we brought a lot of companies over, both from the region, and invested in them and brought them into the Techstars network.
Nice. So the Techstars network helps find startups and entrepreneurs, helps them build up, bring them into a network that can help them grow.
Yes.
Any notable startups you want to mention or no?
I can't mention certain startups.
I understand. You left Techstars about a year ago. Before then, though, you started doing Yazamiot, correct?
Yeah. So Yazamiot is a nonprofit organization I started about 14 years ago in my backyard, and the idea was to create some kind of a network, which then became really big. It became over 8,000 female founders and became very international. We called it the stupid name Yazamiot because we thought it would be just very local, but it became very international.
That's awesome, though, because it has in the name the core roots. So many Israeli tech companies have Hebrew in there.
I know, except this one is really long, so it's difficult for people to say. But it became very global in that we created like amazing projects. One, for example, is Google Campus for Moms, where moms on maternity leave actually come to start their startups. Projects with Amazon, with Salesforce, with MasterCard, university courses around Israel. We just started our 5th cohort in Tel Aviv University.
Hold on. Let's slow down.
Yeah.
There's a lot there.
Yeah.
First off, for those that don't know what Yazamiot means,
Yes.
do you want to tell them?
Yes. So Yazamiot is the biggest organization for female founders in Israel.
What does it mean? The word literally means.
Yazamiot is the women entrepreneurs.
That's the thing.
And unfortunately, there aren't enough women entrepreneurs in the world. And so what we decided to do in Yazamiot is create like programs that actually help female founders step into the game with role models and actual business models, and also create deal flow for the VCs who always say that there's not enough female founders.
Right, got it. So I always say that when people are looking for to be more inclusive, you just need look for a bigger pool. That's really what the problem is. The closest pool around us is often our closest bubble and closest people like us. And so if you want to bring more women in or more of any other group in, expand your pool, find the pool of that talent. You have to go pursue that pool, and that's good that you're doing that. So, all right, so 14 years ago, you started Yazamiot. What you think was the biggest need for female entrepreneurs then? And how has that changed, at least let's say in Israel, over the course, like 14 years is a long time. And like we said, 14 years ago, I know 22 years ago you started your startup, but you know, there's still not, the ecosystem's grown so much even in the last 14 years.
I know, but the good news is that the needle is moving. So the need for female founders is a little bit different because female founders are very much influenced by role models. So because I don't really believe there is a big glass ceiling anymore, like they used to say. I think today a lot of people really want to promote female founders. But I feel like female founders need to network with each other because unlike common belief, women actually love to help each other. So
why do people believe otherwise?
Because there is like an urban legend that women don't promote each other, and isha leisha zeva, like woman to woman is a wolf, and there's a lot of like common weird urban legends about that. But the truth is that women really love helping each other and promoting each other, whether it's in organizations, whether it's investors who want to actually invest in female founders. So the idea of getting people together is like 8,200 alumni, or etc. It's just getting people with a common interest that can share common goals and actually help each other.
So what are the greatest obstacles that when they join Yazamiot? Often are they looking more for community, role models, like introductions, connections? What is the main thing that they're getting when they join Yazamiot?
So unlike other organizations that really luckily exist, amazing organizations in Israel and abroad, Yazamiot is something that has to do with actual programs. So we don't only do meetups and competitions, even though we do that as well. We just recently did the big She Loves Tech, biggest technological competition for female founders in the world. So we're their ambassadors. So we do that. But in general, our agenda is more of a vision to create like programs like accelerators and programs and innovation programs for women around the world. That's kind of our agenda.
What do these programs entail?
So they entail a lot of role modeling. So we bring like all the lecturers and speakers and fellow entrepreneurs, investors are all women. So a lot of role models, because it's just easier to kind of mimic people that you see that you really like.
Right.
And I meet women who say to me, wow, I met her, she looks 100% normal, she has a life, she has kids and she still has a career or still has so you can't be what you can't see, they say. And so when we bring a lot of these role models together, we feel like it creates big impact.
Amazing. So you're talking about role models, and a lot of times come in teaching and lecture forums and so on. Do you do like one-on-one role models for like long-term, hey, you're a new entrepreneur, and maybe like an hour every 2 weeks or something in a sense? Or
yeah, we do a lot of mentoring sessions as well. We find with women, mentoring is super influential and impactful.
You think more than men?
More.
Why?
A lot more.
Why?
To tell you the truth, I mean, I love men and I'm married to a great man and all that, but I feel like women do listen more. They're more coachable than men. I saw that in many instances when I was running accelerators and programs, and women are actually looking to learn, whereas men sometimes come and they want to look like they're smarter. You know.
Unfortunately,
so it's like an ego. It's like more of an ego thing. I mean, I'm sure you're interviewing men and women, and sometimes you feel like even when you're interviewing, it could be different, right? So the ego part. I mean, I'm not saying.
It's actually interesting you say that because. The people that I'm interviewing, I would say the caliber of the people that I'm interviewing, I think are so phenomenal that I think a lot of that, which I agree with what you're saying is true, largely. When you reach the top level, it doesn't even register.
Really?
In a way. And also you see that with like athletics, you know, certainly the race and the gender, like when you reach a certain level or certain things, these other secondary way you define yourselves, everyone's got an A game. Like you have a great A game, you have a great career. You've done amazing work. And so those people that we're interviewing on Israel Tech, they're kind of like their own caliber in a sense. But I do see it in my work. I do see it in the people I employ. I do see that. I do see it. It is very true.
Well, also research has shown that when women run companies, I mean, the companies are more profitable because they're less led by ego, and they're more inclusive of people.
Is ego bad for entrepreneurship?
I think for entrepreneurship, it's bad.
Why?
I say this to all my founders. Because I think on the one hand, you need to be very resilient and very direct and know what you're doing. But on the other hand, you do need to listen and need to be coachable. And so when an entrepreneur doesn't want to listen, by the way, I was one. I didn't listen enough. I wish.
You?
I mean, if I look back at my younger self, and I would want to tell myself something is like listen more. I made some great mistakes. Some of the mistakes.
If that's your criticism of your younger self, you're phenomenal.
No, I have a lot.
Criticism I have on my younger self, I wouldn't share.
No, I have a lot, but this particular one, I think I didn't listen. I mean, if someone told me there was no market, I kind of deleted them from my Outlook and thought he was an idiot, even if it was like VP at Microsoft.
Just send them spam and.
Yeah, I was just like, I hate this guy. I was just like, what does he mean? I have no market. It's like it's crazy. So you need ego to a certain extent.
Right, to push through.
But I feel like entrepreneurs with a lot of ego don't make it through. They also don't raise enough money. It's a problem.
You were saying earlier, you're innovative when you're young, and we were talking about before there's much of an ecosystem. How does a young person today know that, as opposed to them, now that there are so many mentors, men and women, thank God, that you look at them like, oh, that looks cool, at least from the outside and all that. How does one know inside that they're an entrepreneur and innovator themselves and they should pursue it? Or maybe they just think it's something maybe cool that they see and it may not be for them?
Wow, it's a great question. I think that people know. I mean, it's like
how do you know?
I think a lot of I meet a lot of people that work in big corporates. Excuse this place, and their dream of starting something new. And I feel like they know it because, I mean, there's a lot of barriers and sometimes they don't really want to take the first leap. But I feel like they know it. And I think there is a lot of places where there is a great founder market fit in that there is a huge pain point. Like, I wish I could say that about myself because I don't think grammar was my pain point. But a lot of people come from actual pain points. They love, I don't know, pets, communication, whatever they are, and they come up with something that's exactly their fit. And it's incredible. You know, emerging ecosystems are incredible. And Israel made such a huge leap in that every second person was opening newsletters, which at the time were papers, and seeing other people doing it and thinking, I wish I could do the same. I wish I could make a change in the world. And people kind of know that.
But you really think it's that intuitive, or do you think they need to have been traumatized, like working at a major corporation and then finding out how much they hate it?
I didn't work in a big corporate, and I wasn't traumatized, but I knew I wanted to make a difference.
Right.
So
it was that more than the innovation. Did you feel like this itch burn, look at the world around me, there's so much to do. What can I do to have the greatest impact? Hilla, is that
exactly.
That's you for
exactly.
That's how I feel.
Exactly, and you know what? I know so many people who feel this way. And young people, I go to events and I see them with these spark in their eyes. They really want to make a difference, right? So that I love. That spark in your eyes when you want to make a difference and you want to find someone who wants to make a difference with you, that spark I love to ignite.
So how do you know so you're dealing with mentorship from innovation, helping young people. It's a great mission. Let's take it from the side of someone who's successful. However, it doesn't have to be innovative. It can be a successful parent, spouse, whatever in the community, and they want to see the opportunity to mentor and help others. How can one be a good mentor to know that I can be a good mentor? What characteristics I should have or I should work on? What should I avoid? For those that are looking to mentor regular people in their life, in their family, even parents themselves with their own children, or within tech and the ecosystem and all of that, what are the most important traits when it comes to becoming a great mentor?
Wow, that's a great question. Being a mentor is something not everybody can. Even if you're a great industry leader in something, you need to have that little trait in you that really has the patience to kind of explain what you know best, but also listen to the other side. When I joined Arieli, I put together a mentor community for all the programs we have. Like, we have a lot of academic programs, we have programs in agri-tech and medical. And the people I chose for the mentor programs are only people that are like kind of open-minded enough. They listen to the other side. So they can be really professional, but if they don't have that trait in them to actually listen and guide the other side, they won't be good mentors.
So how do they know that they have that? Because everyone, not everyone, but everyone thinks that they have all the good traits, none of the bad traits, right? What is it? What I read that like everyone thinks they're above average driver. Yeah. But half of us are below average drivers.
I love that comparison.
I don't know, I heard that years ago. It's like stuck with me for so many things. So it's like everyone thinks like, oh, I'd make a good role model. I'd make a good mentor, Or when someone has problems with someone else, they think the problem's always someone else's if they don't have anything to work on themselves. So how can one know that, like, hey, by the way, you may think you are, but you can be far more effective doing other things. Your strengths are aligned.
Well, it's really great that you asked that, but mentors is like usually a volunteer job. So
right.
When you do it, I think you feel if you're good at it or not. I mean, I am a mentor to many startups, and I just recently sold a startup, and we went out for dinner, and they said, "Wow, we couldn't have done it without you." It was so like warm, and it made me so happy. Like, I walked home, and some of my friends said, "Well, you've done bigger things." I mean, and I still said this was like my biggest success this year. And people said, "Why'd you say that?" I mean, it wasn't in any way a financial success. I was a mentor to these startups. I was volunteering with these founders, but I felt like I actually sold the startups with them. I was like guiding them. I made it happen between them because they had a lot of friction, and I helped them raise money. I introduced them to the right people. So I think mentors actually get so much reward, but they also contribute so much, so they know when they're good mentors. They feel it, and it's a matter of chemistry. It's like dating. There is something that happens in the air, but people actually know we'll make it happen.
So what I loved about that is that you said it was like your biggest win of the year.
Yes.
And there was no financial gain.
Yes.
Or whatever, right? Is that a lot of people, and I find the big challenge is that success is only determined financially or career-wise, as opposed to just helping anyone or helping people or just or volunteering locally or at your food drive or whatever it is. These people are real leaders. They're having far greater impact, and they probably often, what I've learned is they have far more meaning and satisfaction in their life, even those that may succeed great financially and in the public, to the public, the world sees them, right? They become a household name. But I feel like those that are the most happiest are those that are just doing it with not for the reasons of money. Money happens, like happiness. You can't just say, this makes me happy, this makes money. You have to pursue something, and through that, you get financial rewards and happiness rewards and fulfillment rewards.
I'm very naive that way, I have to say, but I don't want to ever change. I feel like I'm very lucky to be working on something. For me, like for me, doing everything I'm passionate about is to actually enhance this ecosystem, help female founders, help founders. So when I became an investor, luckily enough, I was also very successful at it because I developed the intuition to know who good founders are, and so I made great investments. But I feel very lucky in that I'm very passionate about everything that I do. And so I will never be in a place where I don't feel I'm useful or impactful. Not everybody can say that, but I'm that kind of person. I'm just not the kind of person to be in a place where I'm not like half-half. I have to be like 100% into something.
So I think that's probably the most important thing is you have to be totally into it. Is something.
Exactly.
But and you say that you're naive. I don't think it's naive. I think it's just wise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should be. But I think you also need to make sure you're into something that has like some kind of model for economic sustainability.
Well, running a nonprofit has no economic sustainability, and I still say to people, I get so much out of it, much more than I actually give back. So it's doing things for female founders just really excites me because I feel like I can make a difference and I am moving the needle. Doing things with founders also make me feel like I can move the needle. So I'm lucky.
Why did you decide? First off, do you mind me ask? Like, do you have a big budget at Yasamiot? How does it work? How do you raise money? Do you need money, or no? It's all sponsorship.
It's we actually supported only by the partners that partner with us. So.
Did you ever consider going for profit? I find a lot of people doing good. They say it's better for them to do good when they're profitable. I think it's a more recent thing because they want it to be self-sustaining, like something that it can be self-sustaining, so they know that they can continue to do more work and not spend so many resources on trying to find
We're
partners.
Giving this a lot of thought, and there is.
So you have considered
we are considering a lot of things, and we're looking at a lot of models outside of Israel to see what will be relevant for us. But for a start, we created the biggest community for female founders with like actual programs that kind of bring amazing companies to the world. And we are the biggest deal flow for nearly all the VCs here. So for a start, this was like really my main incentive.
All right, so I'm going to bring something up you might not want me to. Earlier off camera, you were talking about the differences between men and women are controversial. And I said, well, if it's controversial, we have to get on camera. So let's get on camera. What about men and women or the differences that you think are controversial?
There are so many differences. For instance, like networking, okay? People
Go
always
as taboo as you can.
Always say, that women are like better at networking because they kind of connect with each other easier, whatever. But the real truth is that women are terrible at networking because they get really close to the other person. They can talk about kids, they'll talk about school, their next holiday, but they'll never be transactional about it. Whereas men will go into a room, they'll go into one of these beautiful rooms here in Microsoft, there'll be an event, they'll hand out their business card, it's like, okay, how much are you raising? Okay, I know this person, do you know this person? Can you make an intro to this person? Whereas women don't know how to do that. They don't know how to tie it together at the end, right? So everything is very like soft, So I'm trying in all my programs and in all my lectures to kind of teach women to actually transactionally do things and actually bring the lead and have action items at the end. Women are also terrible at talking about money. So if you speak to investors, they'll all tell you that women are just like, okay, what's the valuation? Well, we didn't really consider it. We don't really know. We have to ask the board members. Whereas men are just like, this is the valuation, okay? And why? They have a reason why. So for me, it's about getting women to be a little bit more precise and a little bit more kind of hands-on so they can raise money. Right.
So let's talk about both of those, okay? So the importance of actual networking, right? There are two components which you talked about. The deep relationship, which we're building, like you and I have.
Yes.
But then also when the first time I want to have someone maybe on Israel Tech or on the thing, maybe I'll get off camera and I'll say, who do you think I should interview next? That would be like the transactional part, right?
Yes.
So the communication, the listening, women may be better at, right? You're saying, and the deeper connection and establishing a deeper relationship and a relationship of trust and that I'm dependable. but then they're great at that, and men fall short on averages. Of course, everything's an average. But then men, you're saying, are better at then taking that relationship to the next level. Hey, great. Why don't you would you like to demo this product? Do you have any connections at any of these 3 companies, or et cetera? These are the things where men are stronger at, right?
Yes.
Let's speak to both audiences, because I think men can learn from women and women can learn from men, or whatever.
Of course.
So how can one who finds themselves to be maybe too forward in the transaction, how they can become not just to do the important listening, but become a person who has better softer skills? And what advice would you give to women or those that are better at networking, of the relationship building, but don't know how to take that foundation and move it into transactional success? What advice would you give to those 2 groups?
So for the men, wow, you need to just really listen more, okay? So I really feel...
People have been telling men this for a long time.
I know,
So
they're wives, right? No, but in terms of raising money, I'm talking now as an investor to you, all right? Listen to the other side. Sometimes the other side has specific instructions that you can listen to, and maybe if you build a deeper relationship, you can create something, and in terms of fundraising, it will just be much, much easier, right? So to men, I say, create a relationship that will make it easier for the investor to invest in you, okay? To women, I say, why are you scared of saying, what are you raising, how much you're raising, when are you raising? Why is everything very, very open? A woman can go into a room, into a VC 3-4 times, and this relationship will happen, and she can demonstrate that she can really prove everything that she just said. She has an amazing team, but yet she doesn't cut it to the chase and say, hey, this is how much I'm raising and this is the deadline. I have until July. So that's my advice about audiences. And I think that some people have everything together. I was a classic woman in that it was really hard for me to raise money because I created very deep relationships, but it was really hard for me to actually say, this is how much. I was classic.
Did you bring someone from the outside to help you do that, or bring someone within, or that you worked with?
I tried.
Because I have a lot of shortcomings.
Yeah.
And sometimes I try to work on them or be conscious of them, but I'm the work that's going to take to change this. I need someone on my team that can do this. As you know, you hear Avital criticizing me for the best all the time. And so you need to surround people on your team all the time that can help you cover those blind spots, right? The most important is knowing the blind spots and finding someone that can cover it.
Yeah, so I had great people on the team that were better at this, like my CFO, my lawyer,
right.
My accountant. So I had all these people that were helping me, but yet, if I would speak to my younger self, like we spoke before, I would work on this a little bit further when I was a young founder. Terrific.
What other advice would you give to women that are trying to build out and network, and where are the skills they could? Is there anything else you want to say to the difference between men and women that would be relevant?
Well, there's so much differences, but at the end, a lot of women leave the game when they have small kids, which is really okay if they want to do it. But when they come back, men are kind of down the road that they've advanced pretty fast. And then women say, well, I don't get promoted enough because I wasn't in the game for a few years. And I say to the woman, if you want to stay in the game, you need to somehow stay in the game. And you need to find a recipe that works for you. You need to at least, for me, I have 3 kids. I feel like even though I had a lot of dilemmas, I kind of try to put it together. And I say to women, don't leave the game completely. Just stay with one foot in the game.
I like that. Do you think as a culture in tech or business in general that it's too binary, either family life, they talk about work-life balance. I talk about this a lot because, they say balance, on the scale, one side, if you're in family, you're not doing work. You're in work, you're not doing family. In a sense that, do you think when you look at tech companies and innovators and entrepreneurs that there's more of an integration and a connection between your personal and your professional life?
I feel like today it's people are more open to it. They understand that we live in a world where everything kind of mixes up. And so I think it's easier to create that balance today than it was when I was a young founder, because the criticism I got was from everywhere around me, like my neighbors, the kindergarten teacher was like, oh, you're traveling again. You know, it was hard to kind of balance all this. And I was raising money. I raised money when I was 9 months pregnant. So this work-life balance was then much harder. I think today people understand that it's needed, and investors understand that it's needed. So I know a lot of human founders who just put their foot straight out and said, you know, I'm taking leave, I'm taking maternity leave, and it was okay with the investors. So I think it's easier today.
Just earlier this year, several months ago, you joined Arieli Capital.
Yes.
What is it? Because it's not normal VC.
Yes. So Arieli Capital is a family office, and we're located with many families, multi-family office around the world. And we invest in various verticals like medical, agri-tech. We're doing a lot of academic activities, innovation and capital activities. So I joined a couple of months back and they're very excited.
So what's the difference between, most of the people we interview are VCs. What's the difference between a VC, the operations, the fundraising, and how everything, the distribution of funds, and multifamily?
So multifamily, first of all, is a whole different breed of animal to a VC. The money actually comes from wealthy individuals and families. And the decision making is a little different. We have a lot of partners that actually decide together how to invest. And so it's a whole different decision process than a VC, because a VC has very strict LP and GP activities, where multi-families are just like a different kind of decision making process.
What kind of support can the multifamily give that a VC can't, or vice versa?
Well,
other than economic, financial.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think it's a lot more than financial. So we actually support our companies with like all our strategic partnerships in the United States. We have incredible connections with the medical world and agri-tech and others. And so when we invest in companies, we actually open doors for them all over the United States and Europe too.
Why did you join Arieli Capital? You're involved in tech and all these entrepreneurs, and usually it's VCs, if anything, or why not join another tech company? It seems a little different from your other experience.
Yeah, well, I love different, and I was looking for a home, and I really felt like this family office, which I've known for a really long time, is a great opportunity for me to invest in founders, but also to bring my agenda to the table. So Arieli is very involved in diversity, and would really like to help companies around the world kind of grow. And so I thought this would be a great move for me, because I can actually invest in companies, diverse companies, but also bring Israeli companies into the US and etc. So.
And how is that different from, like, can a VC also try to invest in diverse companies or diverse backgrounds and do that too? How is, like, if let's say a founder is looking to raise money and they're speaking to a stereotypical VC, or they're speaking to Arieli Capital or a similar multifamily, what would their relationship be? What would make them choose to work with one to partner with a VC or a multifamily?
Well, when you're speaking about multifamily, I think the connection is really different than a VC. I raised money from a lot of VCs, and I felt like in the beginning the connection was really great, but then you become like just sometimes another company in the portfolio, and the idea of like if to sell or not to sell is very financial per se. What we do at Arieli is we really create a double bottom line. We really care about impact and making this world a better place. And I felt this was more like my nature.
I love that. Yeah. I think it's in the word, in venture capital and in the word family. I think there's thing to that.
Family, and I was definitely looking for a family.
Terrific. So are you guys involved with any tech companies here in Israel, or where have you invested? What have you done so far?
Yes, we are very involved. We have some exciting companies all on our website, but I don't want to mention one and not the other. So
okay, so mention the ones that aren't. I'm just kidding. So who are they? Come on, just give it a couple examples.
So we have, for example,
we're gonna link to the website in the description.
No,
so they can get
not that well, because I don't want to. There's no.
Fine. Okay. Fine. Lovely. Okay.
But I can talk about. Okay, let's start. I can talk about some of our amazing innovation programs. We did one called SHAR with Shaare Tzedek, where like 11 amazing companies actually graduated. Yeah.
Just for those that don't know.
Oh, sorry. It's a great hospital. And we did an innovation program there where we will invest in a few of the companies. And
you do focus on health, or are there certain industries or verticals that either the Arieli or you specifically are responsible for?
Well, we have like exciting verticals. We have the medical vertical, which really makes this world like in an amazing place. Agri-tech and food tech. We just did a fashion tech in Milan, which was really amazing. One with the University of Utah, which was like an incredible program. So.
What was that? Was that the medical with Utah?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
No, with Utah was the Agri-tech.
Agri-tech.
And we have an incredible company that's kind of a subsidiary of Arieli called Frontier in Ramat HaNegev. Incredible companies go through that, and so we feel very impactful.
What they're doing there in the desert, deforestation,
yes.
things like that. What's a fashion tech conference like? Is it as bad as I imagine? Either I can see it as being the worst thing or the most fun.
It was fun, but not only fun. We had like incredible companies that graduated, and we had like over 100 brands involved with the program. And so the investment opportunities there were huge. So it's fun and very impactful, but also great investment.
No, yeah, it's a very interesting industry. It's a very who you know. It's very old school in a way, even the tech part, the fashion tech.
Yes.
It's a lot of who you know kind of thing. It gives me feelings of like old school life insurance and things like that.
Yes.
I don't know why it reminds me of that, even though it's fashion and tech and it's changing.
I think Arieli actually strives to do verticals that are unique and that we can create the greatest value in it. We can create the best connections for these companies, and we can invest in them and be partners for a really long time.
I've been wanting to do an event for the last 2 years called Fashion and Tech. Just like an evening meetup to just help people dress better. Because I go to a conference, I'm like, come on, guys, why are your socks white? You did all the hard work, but you're wearing a suit, but your socks are white. It's like no one told them the basics. All right. So now that you're working at Arieli, what does your like day-to-day look like? How much has that changed? How much are you spending on Yazamiyut, or like what are you doing? Like, how much has your life changed?
My life changed drastically because I'm now looking for deal flow all the time. I'm helping our portfolio companies. I'm meeting partners that I didn't know actually existed before this. So it changed drastically for the better.
How do you think the Israeli tech ecosystem is different from many of the other ecosystems? Because I think you have a lot of experience in other ecosystems, whether it's through Techstars or through Arieli, which is not Israeli, right? It's largely American. How do you think it's different here than from others?
First of all, I'm in love with the Israeli ecosystem. I think it's unique to a point where there is no ecosystem like this. And I've traveled the world. I met so many people. Last week, I came back from Georgia. I was a guest of the Innovation Authority there, and met investors from all over the world. And I said straight out to them, and I still feel it. It's like, we're very unique here. And it's not only because Israelis always feel unique, it's because we have something here that doesn't exist in other places. It's that energy, it's that resilience. And in today's world where things have not been easy, I mean, just think about it. We had the She Loves Tech event on the 8th of October on Zoom, all right? It was crazy. Wow. There were like missiles, right? So what I'm trying to say is that there's so much resilience here. There's so much energy here, not only for female founders, for founders all together, but also for investors. They support each other. They co-invest with each other. They remain strong when things are just like really hard in the world today. So I'm optimistic about all this. I feel like the Israeli ecosystem has something that other ecosystems don't.
Do you think it's possible for other ecosystems? I hear all the time. I know South Korea was doing this, or some Eastern European countries, that they try to, hey, what can we learn from Israel's ecosystem? How rapidly it's just exploded. Do you think it's teachable or learnable? Are there lessons one can draw, or is it just like in the blood, in the being a Jewish state in the Middle East? You know what I mean? That this forced resilience, is it the family culture? Like, is it possible to take lessons learned at all?
I think you can learn some things, but I think there's something about the Israeli DNA that's just, I mean, it's really hard to kind of, I mean, so many books have been written about it and delegations come here to learn from us, but the bottom line is there's something very unique. I mean, you walk around today, we're under war. I mean, I opened the news today, there's missiles there in the north and the south, and at the same time, there's entrepreneurs trying to raise money.
Yeah.
And make a life for themselves, make a difference in the innovation.
And parents and spouses and part of the community
yeah,
and everything.
And Miluim, reserves. Everybody goes to the reserves and still people are like fighting it out. The Innovation Authority giving huge grants to startups to help startups in today's world. So I think we have something here that just, I mean, I'm not sure you can learn. There's something about the DNA. I'm sure there are little things that you can learn, but I think we're just very unique.
Amazing. And what are you most excited for the future for the Israel tech ecosystem?
I'm excited because I feel today we know how to build companies. In my age, we used to want to sell them all the time. So I was convinced I was going to sell my company. And so were all of our friends. And I think today we're not only startup nation, we're also scale-up nation. And we have so many unicorns. And we have so many companies that are profitable, that their business models actually make sense.
There you go, profitable. Yes. There's so many companies that are unicorns, like in the world, not just have like no revenue, and it's mind-blowing to me.
I know, it's mind-blowing. But still, I feel there's something here that's more sustainable today.
Amazing. And what was your favorite part of this conversation?
Everything about this conversation was just fun.
Oh, stop it.
It was just really fun. I'm excited to be here. I feel this is a really big mission. So thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I love what you're doing.
And I've known you for such a long time. And I said this before we walked in. Everywhere you come, it just lights the room. So thank you for that.
It's the good lighting. It's not. It's my skin products. I don't use any skin products. Like, you're always fun. You always give good energy. You always bring wisdom. And you're always sharing. Thank you so much for being on Israel Tech. We'll put all of our sources and everything down in the description. And please subscribe and hit follow.
Thank you.